now, the Knights, disaster, absolute disaster. I was shocked by this for a number of reasons. I mean, with Kalyn re-signing, home game, Anzac round, I thought they were a genuine chance of an upset. I really did. When I'm looking at the week and I'm prepping and Parramatta are coming off a loss and, you know, they might be a little bit down in confidence and they've just re-signed their captain for 5 years, I'm thinking, this is going to be a big game. This is going to be one of the better games of the round. Yeah. Far from it.
There was no excuses.
What happened?
Their try-line defence was disgraceful. They were playing on a Sunday afternoon, a sunny Sunday afternoon at home in front of a packed stadium. There was a time when going to Newcastle was among the toughest road trips in the comp. Yeah. But what they turned up and dished out in front of their home fans was almost unforgivable. And you look at they've got a strong back line, they've got a tremendous forward pack, but their forwards are playing terrible. Yeah,
you hit the nail on it. Daniel Saifidi, guys, has been coming off the interchange bench. He's a New South Wales State of Origin front row, and not only that, he was probably one of the most dominant Origin props in last year's series. He averaged over 240 metres for both his 2 appearances in Origin. He ran for 53 metres in this game. His form's been way down. I did note that Adam O'Brien has now elevated him into the starting front row this weekend, almost as a play. Okay, like we've got to get moving. Yeah, we've got to get moving. I think the Saifidi form is a concern, not only for the Knights, but for the Blues.
Yeah. Emotionally, they weren't there, though. Yeah, we spoke about the beginning of the show.
How aren't they?
They shouldn't. I look and I wonder whether the Ponga circus last week
100%
backfired on them. It just was so overdone in the end. I know it needed to be sorted out, but the grandness of the announcement and all the rest of it was like an ESPN special. I just thought it didn't need to happen the way it did, and I think in some ways it seemed to backfire on the Knights.
Yeah. It's time now for Teeing Off, brought to you by TaylorMade Golf's new Stealth Irons, the ultimate in forgiveness and distance, so you can expect better shots more often and crawls. We're just talking about it. What are you going to tee off on this week with your stealth driver, mate?
I'm going to have a go at the Knights and the circus that surrounded Kalyn and his dad. I thought, in my entire time covering the game, I can't remember a player sitting there with his manager at an extension press conference getting a front row seat.
Thing is,
but you think about it, Kenny. You think go back to Laurie Daly, Mal Meninga, Alfie Langer, Ricky Stewart, Joey Johns, Jonathan Thurston, Cameron Smith, Billy Slater. None of them ever had their manager sitting beside them. What does that say about Newcastle?
They didn't used to have press conference to announce a player has decided to extend his contract. That's
But it just shows you that they're giving this bloke too much
Not a new
airtime.
signing. Not a new player. It's an extension.
But why was he there?
What doesn't that tell you the hold he's got on this club?
I know he's got...
That's the issue. That's the issue. And I'll tell you what, after that game the other day, the Knights will sit there. Now, they've attached their little red wagon to this guy now for the next 7 years, is it? 5 years. 5 years starting next year. Next 5 years, they've attached themselves to Kalyn. He's got to start pulling that finger out now and figuring out the player he's going to be and how he's now going to provide value for money, which is nothing short of a grand final appearance for the Knights.
And going back to your point,
he needs help around him, but they need to do it.
That's 5 losses in a row now. So, and that's about how long this circus has derailed their season. And it's almost at the point now where it's too late to come back from.
Yeah, well, look, if they go on a bit of a streak, they can get those games back. You only got to be 50-50 to win, to make the playoffs. Yeah. Essentially, okay?
Well, so they're 2 wins. They're 2 and 5.
They've suffered a significant loss today, guys, with Dane Gagai out for a month with a fractured cheekbone. So too Hymel Hunt, fractured cheekbone. They're big blows.
Who do they play this week?
Melbourne Storm.
Yeah. They're in some trouble.
Yeah, well, they are, but it's their own doing. I just think sometimes... Yeah, I talk to Benny Eichen sometimes still, clearly.
Move on,
no. But, yeah, and he said to me one day, he said, it's fascinating when you talk around to different clubs and that the stock they put in the conversation that's irrelevant to their club and what's going on around the game and how much criticism a lot of them take on board of shows like this and other shows, when in fact it has no real impact on their core business. Yet there's so much attention paid to it and what's this going to look like? Which they all deny happens. Yep. But this is where the Knights became a victim of their own trick here, where they put on this big thing. They wanted to celebrate Ponga. He's signed here. Isn't it great? And it just took all their focus away from the game. And the evidence is in the scoreline. They scored 2 points.
And it's left to the coach to apologise.
I had the opposite, he said, sorry. I've got to take the drive back, sorry. Tailor-made stealth driver, thank you very much. That was great calls. Now, what about the Tupou shot? The Tupou shot...
Give me that club back.
Yeah, you want it back there, calls? The Tupou shot, how did we see this one?
Immediate sin bin.
Immediate sin bin? So we're all agree with the coach, No, you don't, calls.
Look, I accept it was a sin bin, but when I'm sitting at home and I'm watching that tackle, and it's Tupou, a clean skin, it kind of didn't upset me that much. It wasn't one of those tackles where you go, that's disgraceful, it's a stiff arm, it was a clumsy tackle. That's what it was. And I think the match review committee today got it right with the grade 2. He gets 1 week.
Mate.
Yes, Paul, it is a sin bin.
It's a reckless tackle. It's not a grade 2 careless.
It's not reckless.
It is reckless.
It's careless, Paul. It's careless today.
I rang the NRL today and asked for the definition of a reckless tackle. A reckless, as opposed to a careless tackle.
It's come out on the charge sheet as a careless tackle.
And they got it wrong.
I happen to think that they got it right. You think they got it wrong.
That's the rule. That's what a reckless tackle. The 4 C's, that contact with the head or neck of an opposing player may occur, but makes it regardless of the danger. Now, you go back and watch Daniel Tupou's right arm as it swings around. Look at the height he comes in at. And the fact is, if Ravalawa hadn't raised his hand, it would have been straight across the mush. The right hand is there's no way that is ever going to hit anywhere other than his head. That is foreseeing it, and he should have
just because you speak with a loud voice doesn't make me convinced that it was a reckless tackle. I see it as a careless tackle, Paul. And I'll tell you where
I'm going with Mitch Barnett's lawyer.
Explain my quote. Explain that.
I'm just telling you.
That's the NRL's logic.
I reckon.
So your opinion is more right than their fact.
I'm saying if that was
more right than that
well,
fact.
a lot of people out there are also saying that it's the big clubs once again getting the benefit of the doubt and the rub of the green. But I would say if that was Hargraves or Victor Radley or someone like that, they would have been sin
I
bin.
love how you characterise Daniel Tupou as a clean skin. Yeah. And we come back to the point that we discussed last week with Nathan Cleary. You've described him as a clean skin, so what would Jack Hetherington get there?
You
what
heard the referee say it, Dave.
There?
It's human nature. People look at him and they think clean skin.
Mate, you cannot ignore the fact of it and argue that your opinion's right because you sat there having a beer on your lounge and thought it was okay.
I wasn't having a beer. That was you.
Well,
But I'll also say, I'll go the other way too, mate, and I'll say by blowing up about this and the constant debate is the game going soft. Well, I'll tell you what this is going to do to the refs. This is going to put them on high alert next week.
In the game.
Yeah, but we've had players sin bin previously for moments that were not supposed to be.
I'll find you 3 tackles from the game 20 years ago by tomorrow night's show where both get sent off for tackles like that.
So you want Griffin to walk into the press conference and say nothing?
No, I'm saying that you better be careful what you wish for.
I saw finally some character out of Griffin.
The game going soft comment's got nothing to do with high tackles and all about the biff. It's got nothing to do with that. That tackle's never been allowed in the game.
That was not, in my opinion,
been allowed in the game.
A send-off.
Of course
it was a sin bin, maybe.
It's a reckless tackle.
Well, then they gave it 1 week, Paul. So you better go after them on that front too.
That's where my opinion is wrong with their fact. But the fact
and
is,
I'll tell you now,
they got it wrong.
If one of their players gets sin bin for something similar next week, I hope we don't hear any whinging about it because that's where the game's going to go.
Mate. Not from me.
That's where you're going to go.
Well, maybe from you.
Did it deserve 2 years in jail for that?
Yeah. Obviously.
Oh, that was a big call from Hook. It's firing up.
It's good to get something out of Hook.
I liked it too. I thought it was great.
Taking the mickey out of it. Come on, he wasn't serious.